the progress and success of the goal that you are looking for is in the expectation of what somebody else is supposed to pay for. Welcome back to the Pure Playbook. I'm Dr. Dustin Boston with the athletic trainer herself, Erin Ruggieri, here for another great episode. Go ahead and like the podcast, subscribe, continue to give us feedback. We've got a lot of our clients giving us feedback, which is super cool. More and more people watching it. It's kind of nice that we're able to start to share some of these out on specific topics as parents start to ask, especially on the heels of last week's podcast. We did very intentionally because we had a lot of good questions in the practice from a lot of parents as, what do we do with all these games coming up and all these championships? And, even the professional sports are in a big playoff time in hockey and in, basketball right now. And so it's all kind of lining up with, okay, how do we prepare? How do we stay hydrated? What's the nutrition look like? What's all of these better questions so we can continue to provide better answers, but we're able to have a lot of these even on the mental side of the game as we talk about mental, physical, and relationships here and giving better healthcare resources for student athletes and you parents trying to keep up and bridging that gap. But we're able to share some of these things in some of these podcasts now. We talked about our 33rd podcast that came out, and then last week was 34. So I'm going to kind of stay on the heels of that one because here's something that we've started to do inside of our practice, even through the Pure Athlete, is we've had just in the past couple weeks 10 or more clients at this point start our metabolic performance paneling in the office. And just to get the information, we kind of broke it down. It's a whole package deal, like a concierge deal that we do for our clients, not only in our practice, but on the athlete side as well through the Pure Athlete. And we broke it down and be like, you know what? Let's meet people where they're at because, again, the other thing that we're solving for is where do I go? Who do I trust? And before committing to this whole big thing, ultimately, we want people to commit, whether it's in sport, in health, or whatever. We want whole-ass commitment in what it is you do. So we just concierge package things like that. So it's like, okay, let's meet you where you're at and literally show what we can do and what we're about, which was a little mind flip for us because here we are building a great brand. Practice has been around for 7 or 8 years now, almost 10 years. And now we're building this sub-brand, the Pure Athlete, and putting things out like the Pure Playbook to really do these things. And it's like, you know what? Let's show people what we can do in this space and start to ease them in. That way, you can trust us. Try us out first. And this is one of the first things we have done. So when you talk about the Olympics coming up and all of these playoff programs and all these club sports going into playoffs this spring and fall and finishing up districts and sectionals and state for high school ball, it's starting to get into, okay, how do we train and build these athletes better? And that's one thing that we have done. And we've had just in the past couple weeks, 10 or more people at this point take action on that. That way, and why I say that is not to be like, hey, do our blood work stuff. It's like, do that. Actually do that. But however, I say that as an analogy to say, start somewhere and get the information. You should whole ass commit to something, whether it's blood work or a health lifestyle or practice or personal training or personal coaching, mental coaching, skills training, master classes. At least start something and get your feet wet to build trust. Because if we're going to go around not having trust in anybody, anything that we do, you're just going to hinder yourself from getting better either skillfully or relationally or mentally with whatever it is you're doing, whether you're a parent of a student athlete in your job and lifestyle, or whether you're a student athlete trying to get to the ultimate goal of whatever that is. So start to at least take the information that you can get up front and bring up the steps. So that's why we've done some of these things. That's why we've built the podcast. That's why we're putting out the blood work. And then the next thing we're going to start doing is personal or very customized injury sets. We've seen a lot of hip labrums. We've seen a lot of UCLs. We've seen a lot of rotator cuff and subacromial bursitis, patellar tendonitis, meniscus issues. But also just more broad on the lifestyle, like start to really dive in on what can I do better and be preemptive about. So with all of the things that are going on, that is one thing. And again, why we've done that is so that people can start to get the information they want, need, and deserve.
Yeah.
And now that that is happening, we've also had, I don't think there's not been anybody who have also taken the next steps, because there is like, okay, here's the trial period. Come do the tryouts. See if you like our club and if you qualify for our team. And then it's like, oh, you do qualify. You have made the team. Is that something you want to do and commit to? Tryouts costed this or this much time investment, and now this is what you're looking at investment-wise going forward, whether it's time, effort, or money. And then after that goes to this, which is time, effort, and money, and it just kind of scales. But being able to figure out, does this apply to me? But if you think you know everything, you never learn anything. And if you're going to be a skeptic about every situation, you're really going to hinder your growth and skill set across any board in life. So take action in those steps as they come up, and that's something that we're going to start providing more here through our platform. As our app is rolling out now, and we're building the courses and the things and the personalized care plans and exercise sets, meal planning, nutrition things, all of those things to, one, build athletes better, give better healthcare resources. Two, just give resources in general of what does it look like to actually go to this level in health or in sport. And then what's the game plan going forward? It's a huge deal. And I think on the heels of last week and talking about something very specific of planning for multi-game days, multi-game weekends, how do we start to navigate that? So all good things that we can talk about today real quick and start to get more of a foundation of what's to come in that aspect of self-care, healthcare, lifestyle care, performance care.
Yeah, I think the number one thing we get whenever we talk about the metabolic paneling with our clients or just anyone is like, yes, you get blood work done every once in a while through a doctor, maybe. But just got my blood work done. All you're getting is couple scrolls. That was 4 scrolls of data that isn't telling you anything. It's just telling you green, red, good, bad, moving on, versus we're getting 7 whole pages of testing of things that you probably haven't even really heard of, but that mean a lot when it comes to how you're functioning. It's not just like, blood work isn't supposed to be a pass-fail. It's supposed to be like, how are you optimizing yourself to then get to a different level, whether that be an athlete level, whether that be just being able to get through a whole day without taking a nap. That's something that we hear a lot, and that really is a metabolic issue. It's not you need more caffeine. It's not that you're not sleeping. It's metabolically something is going on that is not letting you stay awake all day. Athletes who are super tired all the time, and they should be. You're young. There isn't a need to be so tired after practice, and you're not recovering well or fast enough. You are extremely more sore or more in pain than your friend who's doing the same thing. That's another metabolic issue. It's not just that your body gets more sore and you lift more than your friend. It's how it's functioning together. So,
and a lot of this, and I really like the blood work analogy conversation and starting with that, because, and we can apply this to ankle sprains. We can apply this to scoliosis. We can apply this to digestive health. We can apply this to locker room morale, mental toughness, and also the depression side, the more unfortunate sides of the mental game. But the blood work analogy is, here's why we jump on this. And again, it's not because it's like, oh, you should all do blood work. Yes, that should be a part of the process, but I'm using it as a broad analogy, and I'm going to bring this full circle and kind of shape this as we go through here. The blood work analogy is there's so much that goes on. So even apply this to skills training and how you're going about, you want to go D1, D2, you want to go pro, you want to advance in your job, you want to have a healthier family lifestyle and crunchier lifestyle and, not having to go to the doctor so much. Who can we depend on? So, but the analogy with the blood work is I could go the car route, and everybody, you have a transmission, you have all these gears, and it takes all these gears to turn the car. So I'll spare you that because that's immediately where I go to. but there are so many cogs in the wheel. Body has to perform in such a way to be 100%, 110% optimum.
Yeah.
Right? No different than if you're on the field or if you're coaching or if you're in the classroom, right? There's so many different things that have to go on for you to get an A in life in anything that you do. If the goal is an A, call the A being going pro, or call A being going to University of Alabama, or call A being, having 3 kids naturally. Call A being whatever A is. Your grade is an A. So whatever you define as an A. There's so many things out of just doing that it takes to get there to actually achieve that. So that's why the blood work analogy is so good, because it's like, oh yeah, my blood work, here's my simple little CBC and a couple different globulins and electrolytes, and oh yeah, you're all within range, you got this, here's your medication. It's like, it's not because you have this, it's not lack of medication that you need to fix the problem, because there's so many cogs in the wheel. It's like, well, what do you mean? And we had this question. So again, apply this to any genre you want. We're just using the metabolic process because yes, we're trying to build healthier athletes. We're talking from a healthcare perspective. But imagine having all this brain fog, having these depressive thoughts, having sleepless nights or sleeping too much, or having digestive issues, or having thyroid issues or metabolic issues. You're not losing weight when you're trying to. You can't put on weight. You don't have any definition. You look more sickly, as one of our parents said about their athlete. What all has to happen? Well, pituitary gland, thyroid, adrenal glands, small intestine, pancreas, liver, kidneys, reproductive organs. There are so many cogs in the wheel, and those are just the organ systems. And those organ systems have tags and things that are readable to be able to see how well are they functioning. And can you function at 30, 40, 50, 60%? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
But how optimum?
But you don't deserve to function at 30 to 50%.
Nor are you getting 100% output.
Right.
It's like you're only getting 100% of what you're able to get 100% of. So you're not getting 100%. You're getting 100% of 30%, which is still 30%.
Yeah.
So 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing. Not wrong. You're alive. However, you're not achieving the A, which you said was the ultimate goal. I want to get an A in this class. I want to get an A going, I want to go to this school. I want to have these kids this way. I want to not be so sick. I don't want to be on this medication. I don't want to never be able to put on weight. I want to bench press this. Like, you're not getting the A because you don't have the proper performance because there's all these cogs in the wheel. Okay, you want to lift 235 pounds on bench for a PR, one set? Great. How are you going to do that? Well, I'm just going to put 235 on the bar and get after it. That doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of positioning. There's a lot of core bracing. There's a lot of other areas that have to be strengthened around that to then produce the goal. So again, beat the dead horse. This is why the blood work analogy is so good, is because, I have high insulin levels. I can't lose weight, blah, 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 blah. But there's other conversations within the blood work of, it's not just pancreas provides the insulin processes, type 1, type 2, whatever it is. But there's another process before and after that could be contributing to why the pancreas is performing that way.
Yeah.
But what do? Here, take this medication, do this, cut out the sugars, exercise more. But what if it's a thyroid conversation? What if it's a high cortisol level creating more inflammation, which triggers then insulin production? Then you're just continuing to take in carbs, which carbs aren't a bad thing, but we all take in excessive carbs. It's asinine. But now this insulin level is so high and you're storing fat because you're not able to burn it because there's another process over here that we're not even looking at.
Yeah.
And you're trying to band-aid the problem. So think of that in the health, the lifestyle of an athlete. Well, they go to practice, they get up, they go to school, they eat lunch at 11. They might not eat breakfast because, there's one cog in the wheel gone wrong. So what's breakfast have to look like? But they go to class, and then they have lunch, and then they after school, and then they train from 3 to 5 or whatever. We used to train, it was crazy, 3 to 6. And some people do.
3 to 6.
So 3 to 6, great. Then they go home, they're on all this adrenaline. Maybe they don't eat as much, or they satisfy themselves with Starbucks on the way home with a cake pop and
run by QT, get a little taquito real quick.
Grab a glizzy.
Yeah. Glizzy
grab
o'clock.
a couple taquitos. Grab something from the fridge. Like, okay, great. But then it's like, is that really how optimum performance is created?
Right.
But those are the cogs in the wheel that has to happen. Then they have to go sleep, and then they have to do homework. It's like there's so many cogs in the wheel. And what if they're not getting up in the morning? It's like, well, they're not getting up in the morning. They don't want us to go to school. They're failing in practice. They're no longer a starter. And it's like, what do their grades look like? Not good. What do their study habits look like? Not good. Why? Because they're overwhelmed. So you're going to try to get them to train harder, let's say, or you're going to try to get them up earlier in the morning when there's a mental capacity there that it's like, my grades are terrible. I'm afraid I'm not going to be eligible. So I'm not studying. So it's a whole different cog in the wheel that's creating a performance issue in their lifestyle that we're not even looking at.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you have to have good grades to play. It's like, we know that, but there's a problem in a different cog in that main wheel that's not allowing it to turn. So this is the process where you look at, now let me paint a more muddy picture of, well, let's make it real to, state cup that's going on right now, district finals, going into state as a high school perspective, take it to the professional level, the playoffs that are going on. Baseball season has started we're going to be staring down All-Star Week, which is halfway through here pretty soon, and now setting up for playoffs there. There's so much of what is actually going on in the lifestyle of an athlete, or insert general clientele lifestyle as a country, societal health. Are we actually looking at what the problems are, or figuring out if there are any problems and what they are to increase proper performance naturally? Because there's a lot of things that can be fixed. We're just looking at the wrong things. Here's the gold standard. We do your CBC, we do this, this, and this. And if that doesn't work, here. Yeah. It's not always like that. The algorithm isn't that certain. It's ever changing. So it's time to start looking at these other cogs and figuring out what other trainings can we do. Is their performance down because they need to put on weight, put on muscle, gain agility, gain speed, and what do all these cogs look like so we can get the best out of our athletes and continue to remember that they are a person that needs help, and we can't be reactive about this anymore. Yeah. We can't. Because we're seeing these athletes now. And unfortunately, one of the things that kills me too, and we as parents and as adults do this to ourselves, but we want to be so skeptical about what works that we don't do anything and we fail our kids or ourselves, because then, they don't even want to, they don't want to show up to an appointment with them. Oh, they're going to do it all. That doesn't work like that. I don't care if they're 6. I don't care if they're 18. If the parent is involved, and especially if they have to pay for the investment to make sure that they're well, they have to be in the room. Yeah. We have to make sure that there is a standard and start realizing it's on us. One, the athlete should vouch for themselves and say, hey, there's something I want to do about this. I want to figure this out. I've taken in this content. I've seen this guy. I've seen this outfit. I've seen this person, whatever it is. And the parents have to start vetting that instead of oh, that's all over the place. It's no, you have to vet that and at least see it through. And for yourself as an adult in that lifestyle, it's what are you going to do? Continue to show up to these games with 16 cups of coffee because you can't stay awake. And it's oh, they've got so many games. That's one cog in the wheel. You signed up for that. The chances are they've had a long game weekend. That's not why you don't want to get up on Sunday and take them to their 8 a.m. game. Right. There's something else going on, and we're failing to look in the mirror and be you know what? We don't want to be the scary people of guaranteed you have something wrong. Yeah. And we need to fix it now. Yeah. While that might be true, it's look, start taking care of every aspect of your life from performance to health, because you have to show up for you and you have to teach them how to do it and what that takes. Start doing the things and taking the steps. And if it costs you $20 to figure it out for a consult, or $120, is it worth it to vet we need to do something, that wasn't it, what else can we do? Yeah. Or if it's holy cow, I did this, glad I made that investment, and it's changed my life. What is that worth? And at what point in time do we all in this society start talking about it from that perspective? Because if you're reactive about it, which was my main point, if we keep coming from reactive, you have no choice. If you don't make time for your lifestyle and wellness, you have to make time for your injury and sickness. Yeah. You have to. Otherwise, you're out. Period. Yeah. You're out of the game. You're out of life. You're out. Yeah. And so if we continue to be reactive about this, it hurts my heart to not see more of this come about. However, there's more and more great resources out there that we just have to make sure people take advantage of.
Yeah, and I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just as a society and as a human being, we've become so whatever's going on in that moment is like what the problem is. Whereas like a student athlete might be upset at practice, not because they aren't playing, but maybe because they feel like they're letting their family down, they're letting their friends down. Like there's always more below the iceberg that an athlete is dealing with all day. They're going to school. That's enough pressure, and like that's enough pressure sometimes for, depending on who you are. School can be a very stressful feeling, and they don't want to get bad grades because then they're letting their family down, but then they go to practice and they're failing there too, and then they're letting them down more, and then there is always just so much more. And I think that is just something that, not even from like healthcare, but just in life, we need to halt. We need to stop. There's always more going on behind the scenes. That the famous quote of like, you never know what someone else is having in their life. It comes with healthcare too, but it's just something that we need to all keep in the forefront of our mind, especially when there are just so many unknowns in an athlete's life. They don't know if they're going to be playing the next day. They don't know if they're going to make it to their dream school. They don't know if their parent might even show up for the game.
Yeah.
And so it's just so important that the support staff, that whoever you're surrounding yourself with, whether it be a doctor, an AT, a strength conditioning coach, a normal coach, an AD, a teacher, like you coming in contact with that athlete need to remember that there's other things going on. There was something else I was going to say too, but I forgot.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
Let me go on another rant and it'll come back and you can cut me off. It's fine.
It was something you were saying.
Well, the other thing too, that along these lines that I was telling Erica this the other day, it's just like our heart is so big and sometimes it hurts, and we're always trying to communicate better. And we've gotten very real with some people, and it's worked out really well because we've had people say, you know what, I've never had somebody tell it to me like that. And I appreciate that you did, because I would have just tried it out or not done it at all.
Yeah.
And I say that to say this. I ask you a couple questions here. So let's just go on the performance side, go on the athlete side. Freshman going into high school, wants to start varsity. Everybody has the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they're not good enough. Well, not yet, but could you be? It's like, oh, I think they have the ability, they have the drive. We just got to get some skills in place, get a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of vision. It's like, okay, how do we do that? Well, let's get a particular skills coach who is in this position, this sport, whatever it is. Give them what you want to do and where you want to go. It's like, okay, good. And we'll get them the training they need to reach that A that they want to get for that goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. How do we do that? Well, it's going to look like it's going to be start with a 12-week program. It's like, okay, would that be something you're interested in doing? Well, yeah, absolutely. If it gets them to the A, okay, great. But we just want to try out one first. We just want to do one training, and we'll let you know if we want to do it going forward. How's that going to work out?
It's going to be a no for me.
And that's something that we see all the time in healthcare, or in kids saying that they want to work out and they want to put on size, or, adults wanting to lose weight, get back in shape. And it's like, well, I'll either do it when I feel like it, or let me just do one and I'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you going to get the results that you want to move you forward to that A in one training session? Yes or no?
No.
100% no.
Yeah.
Will you get some good tips and tricks? Yes, you will. But that has to evolve. Do you know what it takes to have to evolve that training program as you go throughout that 12 weeks? Do you know how to do that?
Yes, I do.
You do. Random parent?
No.
Okay. So you're going to take the same dribbling drills that I just gave them, a couple of the agility drills, some of the strengthening and conditioning things, and you're going to do those same 3 things over and over and over again. And they might get real good at that, but does it get all of the cogs in the wheel trained to increase performance, increase health, insert whatever,
Right.
to get you the result that you actually want?
Right. No.
No. So when it comes to, the pure athlete and what that is and what it's ultimately solving and providing, is the playbook to get you wherever it is you want to be, as long as you're willing to commit to doing it.
Yeah.
This here is step 1 of just us putting out content. No matter how many people see it, it's going to be out there. That it's at least like, you know what? There's some good points in there. That's step 1.
Yeah.
Vetting the process. And then solving for the rest of it is because you deserve the experience, the results, the treatment, the training that you want and deserve, and we're trying to save time, provide a lot of quality so you don't get beat around the bush going forward. We're going to solve for everything that you wanted that you've never had before when it comes to student athletes. You say you wanted it and then you don't want to take action on it. You want to try it once.
Yeah.
Everything is a process and a program. And that's just the way it is. It's not a silver bullet, and you're not going to get a six-pack in a day, and you're not going to keep it once you get it without continuing to evolve the process to maintain what it is you're committed to.
Yeah.
And if you're committed to taking care of student athletes better like we are, and you want to take care of them yourself, it's a great match, but you have to trust the process, and you have to take the steps, and you can't just do the one-off. Let me see if it works, and I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Well, if you think that they're going to be able to lift 235 after one visit in here with us, just showing them technique and how to train, ain't going to happen. You're going to be upset. Let's not waste your time or your money and just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Go do it on your own. Just be committed to you, because at the end of the day, you deserve it. The student athletes deserve it. Just do it. Commit. 90 days is all I look for in anything in life. I tell my boys that. I tell Cammie that. 30, 60, 90. And that's somebody that gave something to me in business, in school, in sport. It's like, if you're not going to commit to something for 90 days, don't do it. But just understand that no matter where you go, if they're going to try to sell it to you for less than that, you might get some result and feel better, but you're not going to achieve the A. We're not looking for C players here.
Yeah.
You can play with a 2.0 grade point average, which I've gone on record and said that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a 3.0 or better, and depending on how good you want to be, depends on how much you're really willing to commit to at least 90-day segments, which, that's why we do care the way we do it here. Imagine that. 90-day segments, because we want to evolve it, and we have a plan, and we can't crush it all in to start to achieve that A and bring you from an F to a C to a D or to a B to an A player unless it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that like the just topic of instant gratification is so something that social media doesn't help, but like it's not like a drive-through. You can't just drive through and get your max squat, your max PR of whatever you're wanting, your scholarship, whatever we're talking about.
Yeah, can I get a number 4 with an extra 45 pounds, please, that I can squat? Yeah, and you can't just
drive away and then it be done. Like it is a going every day and thinking about it, the forefront of your mind. It's not like TikTok. You can't just get on and get a giggle and it be done with. That's not how life works. It's not how we should be preaching to these athletes. It's not how we should be coaching. There should be things that they have to work for so that they're not thinking that it's all just going to come so easy and going to be a one-stop shop.
I was told I had a thyroid problem. Okay, well, we're just going to test your TSH and try it out and just see what that looks like.
Yeah.
There's TSH, there's T3, T4, there's free there's so many different cogs in the wheel to be able to really analyze, which, again, going back to the blood work analogy, that's life too. There's so many cogs in the wheel, and if you think you're going to just do one thing, you might get really good at dribbling the ball, standing still.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. Now haul ass down that court.
Right.
And then they're like,
yep,
like a new deer just got up in the field. Like,
Yeah.
whoa. It's like, well, you did so good there. Like we worked on that for 3 days, and you could dribble a ball just standing still. It's awesome. You should be able,
Yeah.
no shot. So it takes that process. It takes that commitment. And let me tell you this. It's uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the problem I do know too, because I'll level with everybody too. And this is why I want to get on this soapbox. And some people are going to take it one way. Some people are going to understand where I'm coming from when I say this. It's because, unfortunately, the student athlete, every genre in life, student athletes, accountants, doctors, teachers, whatever it is, everybody has been burned, period. So then, exactly what we're trying to solve for, you don't know where to go, you don't know who to trust. We get that. Just don't portray that on somebody that you're trying to seek help from and play the victim card and use that against yourself and the next person you're trying to seek help from, because you're going to get the same result, because you're going to act the same way. It's like taking a drug addict out of rehab when they did so well and putting them right back in the same household, the same situation, with the same cupboards, with the same people in the same neighborhood. You're better off like, all right, you're moving to Scottsdale.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody in Scottsdale. Good.
Yeah.
You have to change the system in the process, but we understand people have been burned. But what's the alternative? What if you don't get the training? What if you don't try that next skills coach? What if you don't go to that camp because the last camp you went to at some big school was really just a turn off money grab trying to raise for the boosters so that they can buy new costumes for their dance team?
Yeah.
Like, that happens. We understand that. But you don't profile and discriminate and dogmatically look at that's the way it is across healthcare.
Yeah.
That's the way it is across performance training. That's the way it is across nutrition. Because unfortunately, there's probably a higher percentage that is like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Just know when it comes to us, this outfit and what we're trying to build, that's what's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we want to be different. Do we have it all figured out? No. Are we better than a lot of people who do it? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Because we understand just that.
Mm-hmm.
We understand just that. And that's what we're solving for, is bridging the gap. I couldn't care less how many people want to come in here and do the individual things and buy the stuff that we offer just so we can sell and increase revenue. I don't care what people come in here and buy from us.
Mm-hmm.
I care what they're willing to commit to make themselves better, their student athletes better, so that they can enjoy everything they want and love to do at a grade and a rate that they want to love and do it at for however long they want and love to do it, for whatever the goal of the A grade is.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Yeah. And like whenever you're not wanting to put in that investment, whether it be time, money, sacrificing other things, like you're also saying that you don't value yourself at the same time. Because it's one thing to say like, oh, like I don't have time for that. Okay, well, are you going to have time for it when you have to make time for it? When you find yourself in an unfortunate situation, when you find yourself being out because you didn't prevent other things, like then you're going to make time for it.
Here you go. Hold your thought, because I'm going to lose mine. And basically you're saying this in the other roundabout way, and we all know I love my one-liners.
You do.
And hopefully I don't flub this right now. Yes, I said flub. This was an epiphany I had the other day, and I'm going to kind of circulate this, and I think a lot of people need to hear it, and it will resonate. The progress and success of the goal that you are looking for is in the expectation of what somebody else is supposed to pay for. I'm going to try it out. You're going to pay for my kid to get the training. Well, we're not going to do that. Well, then he's not going to train here. You just lost all of that success, all of that progress that you were looking for because you weren't willing to invest in it, or you expected somebody else to pick up the bill somehow, whether it was time. Well, we want to do all that, but we want to do it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you just lost the success because you wanted somebody else to put in the rest of the time that you weren't willing to put in for, because you wanted insurance to pay for everything that they didn't want to pay for that is ultimately going to get you the success. It's like, I want white teeth. Does your insurance pay for white teeth? No. Well, then buy the stuff, buy the treatment, and go get it. Well, I don't want to do that. If they're not going to pay for it, you just missed the whole point of the goal was white teeth.
Yeah.
The goal was finding out what's actually on my blood work. Well, if my insurance isn't going to cover it, so you're going to let them dictate the success, and you're going to leave all of the success that you want and desire for the A grade in their hand. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, well, if my team, my club team isn't going to pay for that skills coach, they should have to pay for it. You just missed out on what the ultimate goal was because you weren't willing to invest in something that you expected somebody else to pay for. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the success that we're trying to achieve and leaving on the table and choosing not to do is because we're expecting someone, something, or somebody else to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work like that. If you're committed, you will do it. And there's things that you can do to work things like that out. What's the schedule like? I can't commit to it to this time. Are you going to put in another program where we can do it at this time? Because there's times where things can't happen.
Yeah.
People don't have the money. They don't have the time. We just had an awesome client yesterday. He's like, I've got to stop care. And I, before we ever had the conversation, I looked at him and I said, Mike, I said, before I even show you what we're going to do next with all of the progress that we've seen, I understand what your life is like with 4 kids who play high level sports in 3 different cities with only 2 parents who are trying to cover it all. And I'm not going to back you into a corner and tell you have to do this, otherwise you can't come here.
Yeah.
What is it you want to do? Like, there's times where it just can't happen the way we would want it to happen. Mm-hmm. That's a very small percentage of the time. However, the other 95%, it's able to be made happen. You can't leave it out in somebody else's hands and expect some other way to do it so you can just sit back and hope to reap the benefits. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing on that, like, insurance is not driving the car of your life. They don't get to dictate who you go to, what kind of care you want. And by saying, like, I'm going to go with insurance and whatever insurance pays for, I'm going to do, like, you're giving up any kind of control that you still have when it comes to your life to someone else.
Who has the most will, want, protection, desire, and gumption, effort, and willingness to provide for their kids or themselves? Who has the most support in that process? Either yourself or that parent.
Yeah.
And like you said, you just handed it all over to a club team who didn't want to pay for the extra training.
Right.
You just handed it all over to a teacher who doesn't provide tutoring.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to pay for the tutoring. Or, you didn't want to put in the extra 45 minutes. Well, now we got to eat dinner late and I've already had a long day.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so many, you're 100% right. And it's something that needs to change and I think needs to be brought to light. And some people are going to be like, oh, you just don't get it. I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
Yes, they're only 3, 5, and 7, but put yourself back at 3, 5, and 7. And what happens? Here comes the ramp up.
Yeah.
And we're running all over the place and we're feeding 3 mouths and we're trying to stock the shelves and we're trying to make money and we're trying to provide and it's like everybody has a story.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares. It's all about what you're committed to.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want to be. We're not going to sit here and dog on you and say, this is why things, it's not. We just want to bring be a little polarizing at times because we're here to empower you through that and figure that out, whether it's here with us or if you're like, hey, I like a lot of what you said. Do you have a provider in Las Vegas that can help us do exactly what you're saying?
Right.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Dr. Chris Coughlin. There's, who else is out there? I can think of 2 in Henderson, Nevada. I can think of, Dr. Brad in Huntington Beach. I can think of Dr. Clark down south of Tampa, Dr. Case and Kaylee in Tampa. I could all over the place. It's just, what are you willing to commit to be able to do just that and not leaving it on the table and giving away all of your results and all of your authority to something who doesn't care when ultimately it's like, yeah, I'm going to let them dictate what we get. No matter what it is. Yes, honestly, health insurance is a part of that process. We help people build that. We've been in network. There's things, everybody's had the bill in the mail that they told was covered, or they have this leg injury that their doctor wasn't in network, but they have got to get this rod in their leg. What are they going to say? No.
Yeah.
So they pay out of pocket. Like, those things happen. So we're talking on a smaller scale. Is there a way we can find a couple, a $20 bill or a $50 or $200 a month, whatever the case might be, and whatever it is, whether it's sports training, nutrition, healthcare, tutoring, whatever. Is there a way we can find a very finite amount of money? Well, the times today and inflation, Bidenomics, it's like, I get it. How much longer is it going to be somebody else's problem?
Yeah.
Before you take care of it? Let's just team up together and take care of it.
Yeah.
And communicate faster, better, so we can help.
Yeah, I think if anything, you should go to a place that they do get it and that they're not hiding from the things that go on outside of, well, I feel like we have like 16 walls, but the people who are not just caged into like what they do every day. Like, we are real people. Everyone who works here is real people. The people that we have under care are real people. And that's what makes us different, is that we are real people and we understand and we go through things that we can then help like athletes through and parents through. We're not just here to go by the book.
And the people in our Rolodex too. I mean, you look at Pierre Desir, former NFL player, opens a sports and performance gym. My brother-in-law, Stephen Beavis, same thing.
Yeah.
Opened Beavis Sports Performance down in South County. And, some people say, yeah, it's kind of expensive over there. You're right. But, finish this quote, you get
What you pay for.
what you pay for. But why is it so expensive? Define expensive. Don't confuse price with value.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to cost something. They have mouths to feed, but even beyond that, and I hate that. I hate it when it's like, yeah, I understand you have a family to feed too. It's like, if somebody says that to me, it's like, you're gone. Like, I don't even want to hear it because now you're making me feel guilty and putting that in my court. Because you know why we're a little more? And we talked about this just yesterday as a team. so we can understand, because I'm the first one to have a lack mindset about money. I don't want to charge people. I would love to just give this away. I wish I was I wish my family were the Rockefellers, and well, maybe I don't wish that, but wish they had that kind of wealth and money where I could just do this. It was all funded and I could just give it all away.
Yeah.
Don't put it back on my family because I have mouths to feed. While that might be true, it's not fair.
Yeah.
And people do that in all aspects of different conversations. But what you don't see is why, for two reasons, why people tend to be what you think is more expensive. It's like, most insurance is anywhere from $20 to $45 a copay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're a little more than that. We're not $100 more a visit than that at all. We might be $10 or $15 more than that, depending on what it is we do here. But it's because, and Dr. Brad Glowacki said this, and it was a light bulb, and I want everybody to hear this no matter what you're going to do in training, because this might help you figure out if you want to invest in a particular outfit to train, to health, to whatever. What are they doing with the profits that they are doing? Because to hell with the mouths to feed for the family. Yes, that's true. Get off of it. We do charity because of our office, not out of our office. So that's one reason why we might be a little more, because we want to take 10% of everything that we make and put it back into student healthcare resources for mental health that there's no answers for, even at the high school level at all.
No.
So, think if you knew that might be a better reasoning, that might justify your mindset. It's like, let me give you more things of why you might want to pay a little bit more. Well, you're also going to get better quality, which is going to save you time and money at the end, and you're going to get that A grade result, right? But there's so much more, even in, we're going to, at the back end, give you a great experience. And you're going to have people that love and care about you through the process. You're not just a number. One of the biggest complaints in the healthcare industry is, oh, I just feel like I'm a number. They waste my time. I was told 30 minutes. I was here for an hour and 45 before I ever got to think about leaving. And it's like, okay, well, how much time did that cost you in your job, in school, in gas, and all these things logistically? Now you miss a practice. Would it be worth the extra $10, $15, $25 a visit, no matter where you go, or the training, or the extra meals and ordering meals instead of having to go buy groceries? Is it worth that to save time? Time is money. What else could you be doing with that time? Give you a great experience somewhere that you're loved, you're known by name, we know your kids, we know where you vacation, we know what your favorite drink is, we know what you prefer. We are ahead of you before you even have the question.
Yeah.
And they're like, how did you know that? I was going to ask you about that. We hear that all the time. There's an environment, a culture, a result, and a time savings too that also comes with that little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
And so don't confuse price with value. And understanding that, yes, there's times where it's like, we just can't do that.
Yeah.
However, by and large, even in times like today, chances are a lot of people can figure that out, especially those who are high drivers that want the result for themselves and their health. Because the other thing I'm sick of hearing is these parents that are like, I can't even sit at my kids' games. I can't even travel to my kids' games.
Yeah.
I stopped going to the tournaments that are 6 hours or more because I can't sit in a car, or I can't sit on a plane.
Yeah.
There's so much more in the heartbeat of why we're trying to do what we're doing. When we talk about solving healthcare or giving excellent healthcare resources across the board, whether it's advice or actual care for student athletes and their parents trying to keep up, it's not because we don't care about your pain. We care about what it is your goal is, what your A grade goal is.
Yeah.
And what your life looks like as a person. And so this whole conversation is about that. And it started off, and I'm going to circle back to, it's been very awesome to see the results that we've got in the past 2 weeks of us standing up a little more and being like, here's what we're going to offer you as your first steps to gain trust, not only in us, but to take value into yourselves and figure out what's going on. And people are doing it. And then taking them through the next step instead of trying to sell this whole big high dollar deal. That's not it. Here, meet you where you're at. If you can commit to this, I will help you commit to the rest of this just so you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Start here, but commit to the 90-day process.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you never know what you're missing out on until you have it, honestly. You never know that you could have been living a more active life. You never know if you could have been living a pain-free, like you're functioning better life until you have it and you're like, oh, I was suffering from these things.
It's that new white car analogy I talk about.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you guys with this analogy as we wrap up so we can go eat before I pass out.
Oh.
Take care of myself.
Don't do that.
Coffee calories ain't it. See, I've got work to do too. I'm gonna be honest with you. The white car analogy. Buy a brand new white car, truck, SUV. Name your next ideal purchase. Brand new white. I wouldn't buy white. You're gonna buy white this time. I'll buy it for you. I just bought you a brand new white car. Drive it for a couple weeks. Like, man, this thing looks sweet. I really love it. I'm super happy with it. It shines. Got the accent. Like, this is awesome. I need to wash this thing. I'm gonna take care of this thing. Awesome. You go to the car wash, and you watch it being washed, or you wash it yourself, and you're like, I did not realize how dirty that car was.
Yeah.
Like, I took a picture of it just yesterday, and look at it now. Holy cow, I had no idea. Did it run and operate? Yeah. Was it at the quality that you thought it was at, appearance-wise? No. And then you clean it, and you're like, I had no idea it was that dirty. It's like, yeah, absolutely. And it's that kind of analogy. It's like, I had no idea how suck my sleep was.
Yeah.
I had no idea I was playing through that much pain because when I woke up this morning, I was ready to play game 2.
Yeah.
Or I made it through the whole game. Like, I didn't realize, like, I wasn't hurting at the end of the game, but it's like I wasn't cramping, and I could feel a difference. And we have people who aren't in pain or have injuries that are like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's that white car analogy. Wash it every once in a while. Take care of it every day. And enjoy what you have as long as you want to have it.
Yeah.
And keep upgrading the quality. Sweet?
Sweet.
Let us be a resource for you guys. If you like something, if you have any questions, hell, if you have anything that was too polarizing, let us know that too. It's only going to help us continue to figure out, what is it? How can we continue to speak better on this? We don't want to walk on eggshells and be like total rah all the time. We want to talk about the real things and kind of give a little perspective. And we're here for anybody. We're not for everybody. That's okay. But for those of you watching, I hope you stick around and enjoy through the process. Go back, watch another podcast. Let us know which one your favorite was. Follow us on social medias, The Pure Athlete, and also you have Erin Ruggieri and Dustin Boston on most of the handles. So we love and appreciate you. We're excited to see where this goes as we continue to travel. I'm headed to a race weekend. I think I've got drivers starting to line up, which is super cool to start taking care of drivers at the tracks.
Yeah. That's
been awesome. So looking to be a resource for anybody we can. Keep changing this dynamic. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week. This is Memorial Day weekend 2024. Hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe. See ya.